the tournaments. Yo, Omnivoid, thanks so much for the Prime sub. Hey, any ex-ninja Prime subs out there? You know your man here. Alright, that's my sellout done. The know your shit. I'm sorry, Jason. We had some good Rocket League games though last time, man. We had some good games. We will do more. Anyway, we got Tox going versus Nosfa. We're going to watch from Tox's perspective. Hopefully the quality is okay. And we'll get my face off. So, okay, interesting. This is very interesting already, because Nosfa's playing Slash, and Tox is playing Galena. That means that Nosfa would have had the champion pick first, and he's going to be like, well, I'm not letting you play Slash. Tox would have banned the first champion, and Tox would more than likely pick Slash because he didn't want Tox to use him. I don't know if this is 30 FPS, but there's something definitely up with the quality. See if I can make it any better. It is on source, so... It sounds a lot harder than the others, so... That is a whole heap of damage. Oh, that rail is spicy as hell as well. Where the... Like, there's Nosfa just doing these things where he just rails from, like, crazy angles again. You can see the machine gun bullets fly, so he's just setting up in a position where he just doesn't walk into any of them, because it's almost fatal for him if one hits. Hey, there's a lot of primes out there that are gonna go unspent. Hey, so I gotta be a businessman about this. There's not bad damage exchanges between the two of them. Like, you can see by the way Tox is moving his head, is like, God damn it, in Swedish. But Nosfa, like, all day so far, has been hitting these ridiculous combos. And if Nosfa's going to be present at more and more lands throughout this long season that we've got of a year, then I'm expecting him to just get better and better. Definitely not, Jason. These rails, dude. These rails. And the damage he's just hitting. Like, it's forcing Tox to be hyper cautious. So, okay, mega health. I can get myself finally safe for a moment. And that missed rail is going to be slightly upsetting for Nosfa, because now Tox is in a slightly comfortable position. He's going to get rail himself. He pays for it a tiny bit, but he's doing damage at the same time. Nosfa can't really afford to take that damage. So it could get a swap on the other side of the map. Mega should be up around this point. Let's see, is he going to cross into here? I think he's going to get everything. Okay, no, never mind. Did he miss time Mega? Because it's very weird to just stand on it. These are just Tox rails. Like, compared to round 2, he seems to be hitting tons more. I'm just really speak of the devil. Oh god, the quality on Tox's stream is just awful. Might even be worth switching over to Nosfa for the next game. Nosfa's combat is nutty. But Tox's is nuttier. Like, he's dealing so much more damage than he was versus Hron. So much more. And Nosfa's getting caught out of a lot of rails where he's just not doing anything in return. Yeah, there's something massively wrong with the settings that Tox has got on his stream. Yeah, this is all day one, aimbot rogue. It's a good drop by Nosfa. It's one of the only ways that he escapes there without having a high chance of taking damage. Or at least more than like a 2% chance of taking damage. He keeps running into this room and taking vertical res. We're going to get another rail. Goes for it. This time Nosfa's able to dodge it, but he's kind of on the run. Nosfa's forced to play a very defensive game until he can either... He can't really afford to take equal damage and dish equal damage. He's got to get like an unanswered rail. At least one. And there's going to be overstacked totems in a second. So Nosfa, on top of that, has also got to start killing totems. And I'm afraid the only way that he's really going to do that is by trying to catch Tox by surprise somehow. That was a really, really good series of damage. But he takes the rail, and he can't afford to take that. There's a chance now for Tox to recover quickly. He's taken 2 lights. There's 1 light at the bottom of the pillars. But Tox is back in a position where he just doesn't really care. It's like, okay, I'm just going to do my run. Now he needs to think of, okay, how's he going to close out the frag? Cypher's still playing quick. He absolutely is. Wow. It looked like that first bit of damage was from the rail, but it was actually the totem first. That rocket just sent just to make sure that if Nosfa wants to go up for Mega or just up the bounce pad in general, then he pays. Really good Tribot spam. Slightly predictable of Tox to come through that quickly. So Nosfa just trying to cut off some choke points. He actually, like, more spam would be really, really good from Nosfa. Most of the time, Tox has got pretty open access to whatever room he wants to go in. And Nosfa's been a bit passive. I think that's been his issue. Even he had a great start where he was doing loads of damage. But he's not found any kind of the same opportunities as he did before. And it's just hard for Tox to close out a frag because Nosfa's so quick. Ooh, the movement. Can't miss those rocket jumps at this level. But he's got overstacked totems, so he's going to get himself like 175. Thing is, those 2 totems are probably going to die fairly soon. Nosfa needs to find him. That totem there on this stairwell, though, is pretty damn good. He probably only finds that off the spawn, because I doubt he's going to look for it otherwise. And I was just holding that upper position for a long time because he can have so much information from there. I was waiting for Nosfa to put himself out there. There's no, like, urgency to do damage because neither of them are doing damage to each other and his stack's been good. And there again, the damage is equal at enough. He just doesn't want to take too much now. And finally has to move away from the high ground. But almost before you can blink, he's back up there. We talked for a while about Tox's intro pose. We mean we can. His intro pose is alright. I'm not a big fan, but I also don't hate it. I think out of any player who has to crossed arms, I think it suits Tox the most. Because there's not anything more than equal damage exchange, Nosfa is just continuously on the run. So it's like Tox is just frantically... Can I find something? Can I find any angle? Can I do anything without actually having to just manually rocket jump into his face? That's a really good rail. Surprised that Tox carried on with that play afterwards, but the totem is also a good positioning. There should be a full drop down from Nosfa, and it does look like we're getting some sudden death on. Too many cross-armed intros. But it would have suited Tox. I do agree with you though. There was too many of them. Not many people have got the balls yet. Base's intro is the best. Okay, he does a great job actually. Doing his Hadouken. Did Tox click then for a moment? Was there a click on his ammo? That's actually a really cool plasma trail. You can see that Tox actually wanted to go down there, but it's totally blocked off. Nosfa's slowly buying some space on the map. And I really think that Nosfa should be the one to get the next kill. The thing is, I'm pretty sure he won't. And I just really want to know why. Like, even with 100, Nosfa should be ahead. But if he lets him get another totem up, then it could be a big rip. We can see that Tox is after that. He's already caned half of the cooldown. I don't know why Nosfa's gone so passive. Maybe it's just because he doesn't want to go down to the bottom of the map and meet him. Okay, he does get rid of a totem, so we don't have overstack for Tox yet. He's largely off the map right now. Free damage. Good damage. Nothing hyper exceptional. But probably enough to make Nosfa think a little bit. Or okay, now this is a bit more. That's enough for him to want to think a little bit over towards heavy. The drop is actually really good. Like, Nosfa's got to clean up the frag soon. I'm very, very surprised Nosfa hasn't made a move in. No rocket ammo. No totem yet. Well, the only way Tox survives is if he hits like another 2 rails in a row. And this is so desperate to finish it off. Oh my god, they're both so weak. Both so weak. He could close it up in a moment, actually. Unbelievable. Unbelievable rails. If Tox doesn't close it out in the next 20 seconds, then he's lost his chance. It's these rails that he's hitting at the moment. Ooh. And Nosfa's just hiding and hiding. The only way that he wins this now is if he turtles it as long as possible and buys himself an opportunity like he had in the sort of first minute and a half of overtime, where he wasn't able to close it out. He took all the risks that he could. But it's that rail exchange at the end. They both hit a hard shot, and it's like, oh god, Tox positionally is a bit better off the top of it. There's definitely respect given by Tox there. I expect the game to end very soon. If Nosfa keeps missing rails, then I think it's GG before we hit 6 minutes. And I think Tox wants the rocket jump close. One rail's not enough. There's too much machine gun damage. It's a good initial dodge from Tox. But Nosfa might survive this because Tox doesn't necessarily have the balls to keep chasing. And finally we get an unanswered rail from Nosfa. So again, Mega to Nosfa. Is it going to be heavy? I think he gave up heavy too. So it's 175, 150, something like that for Nosfa. Is he going to back away from this? Oh, this is bad news. Nosfa is stuck here. Like, this just... 3 rails in a row. Nosfa's damage output just weak there. Just compared to all the rails that he's hitting. And I think he realized that if he's firing those shots at me, no rail, means he can stick around a bit longer than he wants to. 21 of 50 rails for Tox. Like, sometimes Tox just comes alive, and that's what's going to shut a game out. Oh my god, guys, I'm absolutely destroyed at the moment. I'm gonna need to get like a hot chocolate or something after this this map is over, or after this series is over, whatever comes sooner. Keep asking what that. Well, what am I playing again? Remind me. The mouse is too. Shh. I haven't even touched the mouse in ages. I'm just watching this. Oh, the mouse feels so good though, dude. It feels amazing. Tickle, tickle. Tickle, tickle. Sorry. I like really need a hot chocolate. Damn right we play Quake. Alec, do you? Prepare to fight. Oh, I think we've seen like Nosfa's faring up against a lot of top players incredibly well. I really think he should have been able to close out that game. Like, both of them have had their chances. That's an aggressive, very aggressive start by... Let's actually go back to the start of this for a second.
Prepare to fight.
Like...
Round begins in
I want to just pause the start for a moment.
1. Fight.
So you spawn here with Eisen. Like, if you drop to the heavy, then you might be at risk if... Because I think Nosfa spawns very close to the Mega from here. You could be at risk of being attacked very early on if you drop down to the heavy, and especially if you keep moving through the water. So Tox off the spawn, he wants to get... He basically wants the heavy and the rockets as soon as possible. And in fact, ideally, he wants them both at the same time. Because if you go to the rockets, you can get attacked and maybe be challenged on the heavy, and you don't want to be with rockets on the heavy. You want to be defending with a good weapon. But you don't want to go on the heavy and then leave, because then you don't necessarily have the rockets. So it's kind of like an annoying thing to have. He's going to go rockets first. So he decided, you know what, I want the weapon to begin with. Nosfa does challenge up at connector, which is kind of what he would have expected. And he's continuing to pile the pressure on. So, although he had 50 armor to start with and 125 health, you can see his stack now is far below any levels of overstack. And even a rocket jump, just so we can see where's Nosfa gone on the teleporter exit. Because if he doesn't go down elbow, then he's vulnerable to those rockets off the rocket the rocket jump that he makes. Thoughts on tossing down the turret? He didn't toss down the turret immediately, did he? I wasn't actually looking at the turret, but I guess he could have, because he took the heavy. I think it's subjective tossing down the turret early. I don't think there was a chance for him to do enough damage. Maybe he could have thrown it up at connector, or maybe the best place to put it would have been the teleporter exit, because Nosfa eventually moved there. But it's all like hindsight at that stage, isn't it? LG on LG knows they're so close together. And Tox tries to go for a wide angle, hoping that Nosfa doesn't predict that dodge, but Tox also jumps at the same time, so it ends up not being too difficult for Nosfa to close out. I don't think using the turret right at the beginning would have ended up making a huge difference. I think Nosfa would still have been able to justify aggression and mitigating some of the early stack. So I actually think both of them played it pretty well, but it was the follow-ups after where Nosfa... where they challenged in that LG combat. In fact, actually, what would be good is if I went back and had a look at the LG fight to see why they would both pick it and commit to it. It looked like Tox had to fight, though, because he was slightly stuck, given that he was at the power-up spawn. And it is up to Nosfa to disengage at that stage. And Nosfa clearly didn't want to disengage. Well, that's pretty sweet. This connector area is like a heavily contested part of the map. You can hear so much happening on the map if you're able to stand up there. So you have to make sure you know where your opponent is. If you hear your opponent anywhere else on the map, okay, great, you can go to connector. If you can't hear them anywhere else on the map, then you really have to approach the upper connector area with caution. When I say upper connector, I mean literally where Tox has just moved up here. This here is a very, very strong position where you can see from one side the Mega, from the other side the Heavy, as well as the rockets. And you can hear everything that's going on in LG room, and you can hear part of the stuff going on by Super Shotgun and towards Rail. But then again, because it's such a popular area, it often gets spammed out a huge amount. If you guys ever see a situation that you want me to try and break down at least, do let me know. I'm happy to do so. I'm also strangely looking forward to getting to the end of this VOD just because Tox's quality on this day is not phenomenal. Let's actually look at this situation a bit. Let's try and figure out what the hell happened here. It was like 30 seconds later that the frag happens, right? Trying to figure out what kind of stack Nosfa would have. I don't think it'd be too bad at the moment. It'd be round natural, possibly. And Nosfa kind of wants to just trickle down a little bit of that health and armor that Tox has. There's a chance that Nosfa's only like 100 health and 50 armor. So there, Tox zones him out so that he can get the mega clean. Now he's looking to take a safe... Like, if you stand at the back here and you don't just jump straight down... If you jump straight down, he could be up by connector and looking to rain damage on you. If you go to the top, you're still covering the heavy area, but you're not anywhere near as much in danger. You have some escapability, whereas you have none before. Like, the entry right there, he gets as much damage as he needs. He knows he's got a stack advantage to begin with, so as long as the damage is done by both of them is equal, then he's good. And he's also got a turret there that's helping him out. So it's kind of an easy commitment to make. Nosfa gets caught. If he goes through the teleporter, he runs into Tox. He should just have not been there at all, really. And he had to make sure that the turret was dead sooner. This is, like, super sick damage from Nosfa, actually. Given his position, he did a lot of deeps to Tox. It's got a question in chat. Yo, I'm new to Quake. What is the first thing I should work on to get good? Because my aim is decent from other games. Definitely movement. Like, if you're someone who really wants to progress as fast as possible, I absolutely recommend learning, as KinCat says in chat, learn how to strafe and circle jump. The movement does vary depending on champion. Most of them are the same apart from Anarchy and Sorlag, and there's obviously some little things that you can learn if you're playing Slash or Clutch. But otherwise, fundamentals for all the champions apart from Anarchy and Sorlag are the same. That's something very good to look at. And I'd also look at item timing as soon as possible. The heavy armor and the mega health and the light armors all spawn at 30-second intervals. And being able to start getting an understanding of item control is also going to raise your game a huge amount. I'd say item timing in itself, I'd say, is probably equal to movement. Because if you've got movement but you have no item timing, then I'd say you're probably more useless than someone who has bad movement but really good item timing. Because if you got movement but you have no idea where to stand, then it doesn't make you any better in fights, right? Again, Nosfa's doing some great damage at the moment. And like, you're not going to do more damage just because you can move fast. If anything, you're going to do less damage because doing damage on the move is harder. Yeah, I'd learn movement on Ranger. That's a good point, Censored. Weapon selection, positioning as well. That kind of stuff will come. There's some ground rules you should follow, like don't have the rail out in close combat. Like that's honestly like the biggest rule. Do not have rail out in close combat. After that, I'll just make sure you're starting to get down the timing and the movement, because the rest of it will come with practice. You'll get your own understanding of it, and you can develop your own style with that. We got Chase. Tox really didn't hear where he was going, but fortunately for him, he's a rail guard. Zeth, that's a topic we've already covered in this stream, so I'll put that forward to another member of chat. Yeah, Tox is slightly dominating right now. Oh, dude, that rail is so sick. Yeah, and Nosfa is like, I need to get the hell out of here. There's basically no way out. I actually think the best thing for Nosfa to do right there is to try and hold his ground and force Tox to make an aggressive push around the corner. Let's go back to... That's an interesting situation to look at. Let's do it. So he hits the rail. Like, Nosfa's stack's not going to be heavy. We can see how much damage that Tox has to do after. It's probably like between 70 and 100 damage that he has to do to kill him. So it goes around the corner. If he's expecting him to come... And there's like a little ammo crate, rail ammo crate just around the corner. You go around, it's about there. If he's got the rockets, I think. Yeah, so he's got the rockets, and he's trying to go in for a fight where he's obviously going to get LG'd as he's traveling through the air. If he stays back on the sides and forces Tox to come through, he can actually probably take away all of the overstack that Tox has, and maybe even a little more. If he can land 2 good rockets, he won't survive longer than 2 rockets. But if he holds a position to give himself the chance to hit them, the maximum chance to hit them, that would be staying back a little bit. Over there, he's just looking for escape while trying to hit, and you end up doing 2 things very badly there. Like rocket jumping out, I mean, he would have died too fast because then only 50 damage would have been needed. Oh, that tri-bolt hurts. And again, Nosfa's in this spot here, which kind of sucks. Where he's massively outstacked and finding himself having to do a lot of damage. Tox makes a mistake there, which allows him to take way more damage than they should have. That should have been a pretty clean frag. And now Nosfa's got a big stack advantage off the spawn. And even with machine gun, he doesn't look too bad. The problem is he just gets a big rocket at his face. He still has a stack advantage, but now that the light's taken, there is none. And the Mega, now the advantage is back onto Tox. And this light should spawn in the next 5 seconds. Or less, it spawned immediately. So some good defensive rockets from Nosfa. Tox is just farming light armors though. Excuse me, guys. And he didn't hear him over the side. This is going to give Nosfa positioning on the mega health. But that double jump, I think maybe he needed the double jump. He could have fallen down. Alright, that's disgusting, that rail. He was really fast up to connector. And that was basically Tox LG. I'm pretty sure he had a stack disadvantage there. Or either that, or the stacks are very similar. Or Nosfa gets him, but he's lost probably about 100 health himself. Which he doesn't want to lose there. That's going to cost him time to recover a bit, and then be able to challenge for some items again. The jump down is really, really brave. Again, what's so cool that Nosfa could have done there, again, it's hugely hindsight. There's no way you can blame someone for not doing it. Is he jumped down and baiting a shot towards light armor and then just pushing with the LG? Because he's going against rockets there. He's got the lightning gun. Just go in for the fight. Double jump against those rockets at a sort of mid-range and you're looking okay. He was a little bit hungry for the items just then. That's the interesting thing is there's like so many things that these players have to do anyway to get into the position that they're playing in. That these situations... Again, Toxjq, dude. Like, ridiculous. Like, to get into these positions now and analyze it, it's like, you've not only got to play amazingly high-level Quake, you've also got to do this and that, and... hopefully the analysis is good for certain situations that come up for the rest of us. But there's, as you can tell, there's a lot on a pro Quake player's plate to play at a high level. And right now, Nosfa's getting desperate. It's like, right, 40 seconds. Time to start making some aggressive commitments. More rails like that are going to help him. The thing is, where the hell is he going to find those rails from? Oh my god. Like, the one place that Nosfa could have come right there. Toxjq, if I go there, I'm safe. But there's a small chance that Nosfa comes there. And Nosfa makes a really good read there. Problem is that Tox is hitting just ridiculous rails again. In 10 seconds, the stack's not bad. He keeps hitting defensive shots. There's a turret now for him to walk through. And now Tox has got a weapon that he can defend in mid-range. It's GG. He just did enough defensive damage. What game mode should I play to practice movement and item? Hang on, I'm going to just pause this VOD quickly so we can keep the stats on screen. Game mode should I play to practice movement and item timing? So anyone can open a custom server, Omnivoid. I always recommend opening Blood Covenant with no bots. Make the highest time limit possible in TDM, so it would be 30 minutes. And try and get some movement stuff down on Blood Covenant. There are some tutorials. I've got my own tutorials on Quake Live, which are totally transferable to movement with, say, Ranger. And even I've got some tutorials that are relevant to the likes of Sorlag and Anarchy. But I would use custom servers to practice your movement. And once you start getting the understanding of, okay, this is how acceleration works in movement, then that's when you should start trying to apply it to real games. And then I would say even playing deathmatch or team deathmatch, you don't necessarily even have to play duel, and just find an item on the map, be it a light armor, be it a heavy armor, be it a mega health, and just time that one item. And from the start of the game, if you spawn close to an item, it's like, right, the heavy armor's there. I know that you can see like the little things around it, which will tell you how, like, oh, this is 10 seconds away from spawn, it's 15 seconds away. Just try to get the exact timing for one item for the duration of an entire game, so that you always turn up at mega health, let's say. So you spawn by mega health, you take it, and then you're going to turn up to mega health every time on the second until the game ends. It doesn't matter about your frags. It doesn't matter about team score, your personal score, about whether or not power-up's up. Just make sure you time that one item. Bridge to rail is possible in this game, but I wouldn't say it's a benchmark early on as to whether or not you're succeeding in learning movement, because bridge to rail is a lot harder in this version of Quake than previous ones. What does Tox lack right now to get to the top spots in Quake Champions, in your opinion? I feel he's a little aim dependent with Tox. I don't think his rocket game